Have you ever noticed how quickly your heart rises when someone praises you? A few kind words can make you feel lighter, brighter, almost unstoppable. But when that praise disappears or when criticism suddenly arrives, you crash even harder than before. We often think criticism is the biggest threat to our peace. But what if praise, those sweet, golden words we long for, can sometimes be more dangerous? In this teaching, I want to walk with you into the Buddha's wisdom on praise and blame. By the end, you'll see why both can steal your peace and how to live free, steady, and rooted in inner calm. Number 1, the hidden trap of praise. Praise can be a powerful thing. We all love it, don't we? A compliment can lift us up, fill us with warmth, make us feel seen and appreciated. It feels good to hear, "You did a great job," or "You're so talented." But here's the catch. Praise, much like criticism, can also trap us. And the scariest part is that we don't always see it coming. Criticism is easy to spot. It stings, it challenges us. It can be uncomfortable, but at least we know it when we feel it. Praise, on the other hand, is much trickier. It doesn't hit us with the same blunt force. It's subtle, almost seductive. We invite it in, we expect it, and when we get it, we hold on to it as if it's a confirmation of our worth. The danger comes when we begin to define ourselves by the praise we receive. Because, as we all know, nothing in life is permanent, and neither is praise. In Buddhist teachings, there's a concept known as the 8 worldly winds. These winds blow through every person's life, regardless of who you are or where you're from. They include gain and loss, pleasure and pain, fame and disrepute, praise and blame. These winds don't just come in a gentle breeze. They can be powerful forces that lift us high or drag us low. The Buddha teaches that while we can't stop the winds, we don't have to be tossed around by them. This means learning to accept praise and criticism, but not allowing either to define our worth. In fact, both can be dangerous if we let them sway us too much. Take a moment to think about the last time you received praise. Was it a comment from a colleague, a friend, or even from a stranger? It probably felt great. But if you're being honest with yourself, did it also leave a bit of a lingering feeling? Like, maybe you felt obligated to keep receiving that praise to keep feeling good about yourself. Let's consider the story of a student, one who always brought home the highest grades. She was admired by her teachers, praised by her parents, and envied by her peers. It became clear to her over time that her worth was tied to her grades. Each A was like a pat on the back that affirmed, "You're doing well, you're valuable." But what happened when she scored lower than usual? The silence that followed was deafening. It wasn't the grade itself that upset her, but the absence of the praise she'd grown accustomed to. She cried, not because of the number on the paper, but because the confirmation of her worth was gone. This is the hidden trap of praise. It feels like a reward, like an achievement, but in reality, it's just a temporary fix. Praise, when we become attached to it, builds a shiny cage around us. We don't realize we're locked inside until it's too late. When praise is what defines us, we're at the mercy of others' opinions. The moment that praise is withheld or disappears, our sense of self can crumble. In Buddhist practice, we are reminded to cultivate inner peace, not peace that depends on the approval of others, but a peace that comes from within, regardless of external conditions. True peace isn't about seeking constant validation. It's about knowing that your worth is inherent, regardless of what others say. So, how do we avoid the trap of praise? The answer lies in being mindful. Instead of clinging to compliments or letting them define us, we can acknowledge them with gratitude but not attachment. Just as the wind blows through us, we can let praise come and go without letting it shake our core. This is the path to freedom. You don't need to reject praise altogether. You just need to stop letting it be the measure of your worth. When you find peace within yourself, when you know that you are enough, regardless of external validation, that's when the true power of letting go begins. Number 2, why praise can bind stronger than criticism. Praise can be addictive. The rush we feel when someone recognizes our effort or achievements can give us a temporary sense of worth. But this is where we fall into a trap. Unlike criticism, which is hard to ignore and forces us to examine ourselves, praise can slip by unnoticed and settle deep within us, silently shaping our identity. The Buddha's teachings tell us that attachment is the root of suffering. The more we cling to praise, the more we build a fragile sense of self that depends on other people's opinions. And as we all know, external validation is fleeting. What happens when the applause stops? What happens when the compliment is no longer there to give us the boost we crave? Suddenly, we're left feeling empty, unsure of who we are without the praise that once defined us. Take, for instance, the story of a professional athlete. Early in his career, his coaches and teammates praised him for his skills. Every game he played, he felt validated by their admiration. His worth became tied to his performance. If he played well, he was good. If he didn't, he was nothing. One day after a disappointing performance, he noticed the silence from his teammates. The praise he had become accustomed to wasn't there. He felt himself shrinking. That silence weighed more on him than any criticism. His confidence, built on external validation, crumbled. This athlete's story is a perfect example of how praise can trap us. It creates an illusion that our worth is tied to how others see us. When praise disappears, so does our sense of self. We are left questioning, who am I without this recognition? The more we cling to praise, the more we bind ourselves to it. In Buddhist practice, this attachment to praise and external validation is seen as a form of mental slavery. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. The Buddha taught that true freedom comes not from the world's opinions, but from the ability to let go of attachment to them. This doesn't mean rejecting praise when it comes, but it means not allowing it to become the source of our self-worth. Number 3, the Buddha's wisdom standing beyond praise and blame. In his teachings, the Buddha emphasizes the importance of not being swayed by either praise or blame. To live peacefully, we must rise above both. The Buddha often spoke of how a wise person is like a tree standing firm despite the storms that pass through. Praise and blame, like the wind, will come and go, but a wise person remains grounded in their true self, unaffected by either. One of the most poignant lessons I've heard comes from a teacher who spoke about non-attachment to both praise and criticism. This teacher shared a story about a monk who, after spending years meditating in solitude, returned to the monastery. The other monks greeted him with great admiration, praising his dedication and achievements. But the monk, with a calm smile, simply said, "Thank you, but I am not my achievements." This simple statement encapsulates the essence of Buddhist wisdom. True peace comes when we no longer tie our worth to external things. The monk didn't dismiss the praise, but he didn't let it define him. He knew that his worth was not measured by how others saw him, but by his inner peace and understanding. In a world that constantly pushes us to prove ourselves, the Buddha's wisdom reminds us that we are more than our achievements, our appearances, or the praise others give us. We are whole just as we are, regardless of external validation. Number 4, practical application, finding freedom from praise. So how can we apply this teaching to our everyday lives? How can we enjoy praise without letting it control us? One way is by practicing mindfulness in the moment. When you receive praise, take a moment to acknowledge it with gratitude, but then gently let it go. It's important to enjoy the recognition, but not to cling to it. For example, if someone compliments your work, smile, thank them. But in your heart, remind yourself that your value isn't tied to this compliment. Your worth is inherent, independent of others' opinions. Similarly, when you face criticism, practice non-reactivity. Instead of letting it sink into your heart, take a deep breath and ask, "Is there truth here? If so, I can learn from it." If there's no truth, simply let it pass. This is the practice of letting go of praise, blame, success, and failure. A personal example I've heard from a friend illustrates this perfectly. She had always received high praise in her job, and it made her feel validated. But one day, after receiving negative feedback from her boss, she realized how vulnerable she had been to that praise. In that moment, she decided to practice what she had learned about letting go. She accepted the feedback, but instead of dwelling on it, she chose to focus on her own growth and self-worth, not dependent on others' opinions. Number 5, conclusion, true freedom from praise. The real danger of praise is not in the compliment itself, but in the attachment it creates. Praise can make us feel good in the moment, but when we rely on it to define our worth, we give away our peace. The Buddha's wisdom shows us that true freedom comes from letting go of the need to be praised, letting go of the fear of failure, and most importantly, letting go of the belief that our worth is tied to others' opinions. As you move forward, I encourage you to embrace praise but not be controlled by it. The next time someone praises you, smile, appreciate it, and then let it pass through you like a gentle breeze. Your worth is already complete just as you are. True peace comes when we stop seeking validation outside of ourselves. It's a reminder that we are enough, regardless of praise or blame, success or failure. When we understand this, we begin to live in true freedom, unshaken by the winds of praise and blame.